Here.
Councillor Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Snyder,
Here.
Youth Councillor Nog,
Here.
Councillor Goodhouse,
Here.
and Councillor Newton.
Here.
All right, I'll ask everyone to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. Councilor staff, any non-agenda items?
Nothing from us, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Move on to item number 2 on the agenda, proclamations and recognition. And I think we have one proclamation to proclaim September 15th to October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month. And we have a copy of the proclamation in the packet. Is there a motion?
I move to proclaim September 15th to October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right. And let's start with, I guess we're not doing a roll call vote, but I guess I have never called for Youth Councillor Nog's advisory vote to begin with. I guess we're on uncharted territory here. So are we taking a roll call vote, or am I just?
So there's no roll call vote.
Okay.
There's just the, I guess, a standard language where you
All right.
call ayes and noes.
So we got lots of firsts this year. Youth Councillor Nog, would you like to cast your advisory vote first?
Yes, but I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Are we supposed to be saying A or B? Is that something?
You can either say aye or yes, or nay or no.
Yeah.
Either one is acceptable, but you'd like to say yes? Okay, you don't want to say aye. Okay, I get that. Awesome question, though. All right, city councilors, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, proclamation is passed unanimously. Thank you. Still trying to get the hang of not being in virtual meetings here, sorry. Move on to public comments. First will be follow-up to any previous public comments. Assistant City Manager Nyland, you have any follow-up?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. First of all, can you hear me okay?
We can, very well. Thank you for checking.
So, Mr. Mayor, at the September 6th council meeting, we did not receive any public comment. There were no written comments. We had no one in person, nor did we receive any callers or have anyone provide comment via video. So not much happened as far as public comment at last week's meeting. And today, September 13th, might seem like just another day, but looking back, many things happened on this day. For instance, my fun fact, in 1501, Michelangelo began his 3-year project sculpting the Statue of David. And in 1955, Velcro was patented. In 1969, one of my favorites, Scooby-Doo, first aired on CBS. In 1990, the TV series Law and Order aired for the first time on NBC. And in 1997, Elton John released the single Candles in the Wind as a tribute to Princess Diana. I'm going to leave my report tonight rather brief, so you can continue the council meeting and make history of your own. That's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Nyland. We'll move on to written public comment. I don't believe we received any by noon today. Is that correct?
That's correct. We haven't received anything by noon today.
All right. And let's see. Do we have any in-person folks signed up? I don't see anyone in person that's not a staff member. Okay. And how about phone-in public comment, Mr. Thornburg?
None at this time.
All right. Do we have any video testimony, Mr. Thornburg?
None at this time either.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is Connections Project Easement Acquisitions. And we have project manager Zach Morris remotely to present. Or hopefully we do.
Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, there was just a delay on my end to be able to join. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Zach Morris, Senior Project Engineer from Public Works. The item before you tonight is to consider repealing and replacing a resolution of necessity related to easement acquisitions for the Fanner Creek Trail Connections project. I think you all are aware of what the project is, but for the record, it's one of our capital improvement projects that will build 3 new segments, those being from Woodard Park to Grant Avenue, Tigard Library to Milton Court, and 85th Avenue to the Keokuk's Bridge, and then improving a 4th segment, which is behind City Hall from Ash Avenue to Hall Boulevard. This is a project that has federal aid funding, and so the Oregon Department of Transportation, or ODOT, is administering the funds, including the effort to acquire the easements that we need. However, establishing the project need and having condemnation authority lies with the purview of the city. So back in 2020, almost 2 years ago, we did come to council and there was a resolution already approved for the easements that we thought we needed at the time. Since then, the easement needs have changed a little bit. Some were the exact boundaries of the easements needed to be tweaked a little bit, and others were entirely new easements where we got farther along in permitting and needed to identify some new areas, as well as there's one segment or one piece on the City Hall segment on the storage unit property 2 tax lots west of City Hall that currently encroaches on the private property just a little bit. So we're going to try to clean that up as part of the project. So this would replace the old resolution, cover all the private properties that we need for both temporary and permanent easements. And it would meet our obligation with ODOT that we have this in place before we make offers to property owners. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Do we have questions or comments from the council? Council President Loop.
I don't have a question, but I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 22-25.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 22-25, a resolution declaring the need to acquire property for the Fanner Creek Trail Connections project and authorizing eminent domain and immediate possession if necessary.
All right, we'll start with Youth Councilor Nog for an advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. It's amazing. All right, and rest of the City Council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion to approve resolution 22-25 is approved. Move on to item number 5, which is a charter review discussion, and City Attorney Rahala, I believe you're presenting on this. Oh, and Deputy City
Good evening.
Recorder Ramundo. Okay.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will turn it over to Mr. Ramundo to kick us off. Also, I can't see any videos tonight from Town Hall, so apologies. But if you need my attention, you'll have to say something because hand raising won't work.
Okay, and Mr. Thornburg, is that something you can work on? It does look like I don't see the video piped into on my laptop. I don't see the video piped in from Town Hall. I don't know if that's something you can fix, but City Attorney Rahala and Mr. Ramundo, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Jesse Raimundo, Deputy City Recorder. With me tonight is City Attorney Rahala, who will be presenting remotely. I will be providing support and assistance to City Attorney Rahala and the Charter Review Committee. Tonight we are bringing forward a proposal for the Charter Review Committee application process. On August 9th, we introduced and requested council input on the Charter Review process, membership structure, and recruitment. And in collaboration with our design and communication and city management team, we laid out the framework and scope of the Charter Review Committee, defined the roles and responsibilities, and set a timeline, and prepared a web page describing the background, purpose, and function of the Charter Review Committee. And now I will pass it on to City Attorney Rahala for additional details of the proposal.
All right, thank you for that. And I do see the audio or the video now in Town Hall. Thank you. Like Mr. Raimundo said, tonight's purpose is to share what we've come up with since our last discussion about what the structure of the committee is going to look like. So the proposal is to have 8 to 10 community members, along with 3 past or present elected officials from the city of Tigard. So we had discussions about how many elected officials, what that composition should look like. We were careful, mindful of the balance that we wanted some history and familiarity and experience with the Tigard Charter and the operations of it, but we also didn't want that presence to overwhelm the public members. We wanted to make sure that the public felt free to participate. We had gleaned a lot from the Public Safety Advisory Board and making sure that we had a good balance of public and city expertise. So we wanted to make sure to keep that balance and encourage the dialogue that we had on the PSAB as well. So the proposal would be 3 past or present elected officials. The hope is that we will have more past than present. The thought with that is that the 2023 council will have its say over the charter content, and that'll be in the form of referring the measure to the ballot, as well as the ballot title language for when that goes to the ballot. The 2023 council will be well represented on that, so we're hoping for past service with the city of Tigard to make up those roles. So we have a charter application ready to go. That is in your packet. So we welcome your comments on that tonight as well. The comments, the questions being answered or asked, the questions being asked of applicants. If council gives the thumbs up tonight, the plan is that that would go live tomorrow, and we would start recruitment and hold it for a 2 to 3 week period. So I will be happy to answer any questions now.
I'll start with one, City Attorney Rahala. Is the intent to have the past or present elected officials complete the application process, or is that for members of the public, or both?
So the idea is that that was geared towards members of the public. Ideally, we would have some application process for past or present electeds to fill out. We do recognize that that is a little bit more cumbersome than maybe an elected official would be inclined to fill out. So we're seeking comments on that tonight as well. But that was specifically designed for members of the public, just to gain, it's a little bit broader than what we would normally ask an elected official.
Okay, just wanted to clarify what the answer to that was. Councilor Goodhouse?
A question I have is, the community members part, are we determining that as residents that live in the boundaries of the city of Tigard? Are we considering landowners, building owners, business owners? Or is that up for us to decide who we're determining falls into that category?
So it's up for council to decide. Our recommendation would be people who live in Tigard, but we're certainly open to expanding it to people who work in Tigard as well.
Okay.
Counselor Shaw.
Yeah, thank you, City Attorney Rahal. I have two questions. The first is if it's past or present, does that include and, or is it one or the other? So that'd be the first question I have. And the second is who would then decide on the 8 to 10 community members? Is that a city manager or a city attorney? Thank you.
No, that is council. So the plan is that similar to the Public Safety Advisory Board, we will do the city recruitment, gather the applications, and then it would be identical to that board process, minus the interviews. But council would then make the decision to narrow down who would be considered a finalist, and then ultimately decide together who to appoint for those 8 to 10 positions. In terms of the past or present, that also will be up to council to decide how it wants that balance to be. Like I said, our recommendation would be for mostly past members, but that's ultimately for this council to decide in setting its membership.
Counselor Shaw, does that? Okay. Counselor Newton?
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. I think I would prefer voters being the community members because the charter, you know, they vote on the charter, so I would prefer that they be voters. And secondly, the draft application, if I'm honest, it sounds a little bit like a job application to me. So in the first question, describing the personal or professional experiences, I think people might be a little put off that they don't have direct experience with something like that. So if we could maybe add the word interest, because we may get some people that are interested but don't feel like they have direct personal or professional experience. And so I think it would be important to encourage, you know, we might get somebody who has an interesting perspective that wouldn't feel like they would qualify otherwise. So, and then the other thing, if you're selected, what would you hope to accomplish on the committee? We might want to rephrase that to say if it's selected, what sections or changes are you interested in discussing? I mean, something to get some ideas about what's motivating them to share their interests. So anyway, those are my thoughts right now.
Can you define what you mean by voters? Like, would it be
I mean,
someone that had to have voted or be
well,
a registered voter, or?
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. Somebody who would be eligible to vote. Maybe they're not registered, but they live here, you know, so residents that would be qualified to vote.
That'd be, okay.
Yeah.
So really community members
Correct.
that live
Yeah.
in Tigard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That are over 18.
Mm-hmm.
Or 18 or over.
Yeah.
Okay. City Attorney Rahal, any responses or clarifications for Councilor Newton's comments?
To the first point, well, to both of those points, absolutely, we can adjust those. And to the first point, yes, it was never intended that experience would be necessarily tied to just direct experience. We recognize the vast majority of the community will not have experience working on something like this, but any kind of experience working with different competing interests, working with government, there's a whole range of what we would consider applicable experience here. So we'll clarify that on the application what our intention is.
I understand that. I just thought the way it was written, people might think that they had to have some direct experience. So thanks.
All right, Youth Councilor Nog.
Do we have an age requirement set in place for those that can participate?
You know, that was just being discussed the way Councilor Newton was describing it, but I think there probably should be at least some youth participation. So how we want to handle that, I think we should figure out. But, and I am almost certain without asking Councilor Newton, she would not have been wanting to exclude a particular group of people. I'm almost certain of that. Okay. Anything else, Youth Councilor Nog?
Yeah, that was my
Okay. Yep. Okay, fair enough. Council President Lube, you look like you had.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of having some sort of application process, but I agree with Councilor Newton. I hope that even not having any sort of direct experience, but an open mind and a willingness to learn, I think would be really, really helpful and valuable, just a completely fresh perspective. So I want to make sure that the question doesn't off-put someone from even just filling it out simply because they've never been involved in any sort of way.
You don't want the application to become a barrier.
Yeah, and I don't want the application to become a barrier. I started thinking about that of, then questions of if they don't have a computer and have to go to the library to fill it out. And so maybe have alternative ways. If somebody could do an in-person interview or something like that instead, I think that could be really helpful if there's a barrier, and then summarized and submitted on their behalf would be great. In regard, I do think past and present elected officials should also have to fill something out to be able to read through and see why they're interested. I will say, as somebody running, I don't think anybody running in this election should be serving and perhaps have any sort of perception of undue influence, especially whoever is elected will be on the council to make the decision. So I will have no interest, and I'm just publicly saying I won't be applying for that because I don't think it's appropriate.
Fair enough. Councilor Goodhouse?
I wonder if for the model, if we're doing 8 to 10 people, if we do something similar to our committees where 8 of them are people that are that actually live in the boundaries of the city, and then maybe open it to 2 that aren't. That way we can get maybe business owners or landlords, and then maybe we do a thing where we do 1 youth. So maybe we do a 8-2-1 or something split where 8 of the city limits, 2 that can be a business owner or a landlord, and then maybe 1 for a youth or something like that. That way we get kind of a broad perspective, because I know I hear a lot on these committees or people that weigh in on if someone's got a business or someone that's been in the city of Tigard for a long time, they are affected by what happens and how the outcome is. So not that we want weighted one side, but it'd be good to at least include someone in that process.
Yeah, and we have precedents with the Planning Commission has a member that's not necessarily a resident of Tigard, and same with the Library Board. There might be others, but those are the ones. And TTAC,
I think, yeah,
or TCAC, sorry.
and TTAC. I think both have a.
Councilor Newton?
Mr. Mayor, we did on the Public Safety Advisory Board have an alternate who wasn't a resident of the city. So, we might look at something like where we would allow some alternates.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good comment just in general. City Attorney Rahala, I think there probably needs to be a plan. I mean, we had that happen multiple times on the Public Safety Advisory Board for other or different reasons multiple times. And there probably should be a provision for some alternates that can jump right in immediately that maybe don't have a vote to begin with, because at 12 to 14 meetings, we're likely to lose 1 or 2 people.
And the other thing I would comment is maybe it would be good to have a slot for a youth member.
Yeah.
And just, have
I
one
think
slot.
that
Yeah,
probably should happen no matter what. That's the most confident thing I have in all the feedback I've heard. So we can, and maybe I don't know how I guess it'd just be something they would apply for as well, you're suggesting? Okay. All right. Council President Lube.
The only other thing is to make it an odd number. I know this is by consensus, but still an odd number.
Oh, as far as the numbers go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think and we're supposed to, just to be clear, we're supposed to be voting on the specifics tonight, correct, City Attorney Rahala?
Not necessarily a vote, but definitely an affirmation or staff guidance as to what you want to see, and then the plan is that we'll launch the revised application starting tomorrow.
Okay, so we don't need a formal. I guess what I'm getting at is you've just gotten a lot of feedback that could probably require some tweaks and adjustments to the whole plan here. So you're going to make those adjustments and then launch the recruitment tomorrow? Is that the idea?
That's our hope. Yes, that would be the thought.
Okay, Councilor Goodhouse, did you have something else?
I don't know if they're going to make the tweaks or come back, or if we want to go with a model. I mean, if we do the 8-2-1, that's an odd number, where if we do 8 city limits, 2 open, and then 1 youth, that makes it 11, and then an alternate position.
You're missing the city councilor, or the elected
well,
officials.
Yeah, and then we have the elected, that would be separate. So that would be another 3.
I'll be honest, I'm concerned just about the size that it's becoming there. I almost think it should probably be more like 8 or 6, 2, and 1, perhaps, and then 3 elected officials and the city recorder.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
what are your 6, 2, and 1?
Sorry. So I'm looking at the document that the staff presented. And so the Tigard community members with diverse backgrounds and experiences, that number would be 6. 2 would be, as Councilor Goodhouse was proposing, sort of interested community members that have some sort of nexus to Tigard, whether it's business owner, lives adjacent to Tigard, frequent user of our services, whatever that might be, modeled after the way we have non-Tigard residents on other boards and commissions. 1 member, or 1 youth member, so I would define that as basically someone under 18, and then 3 past or present Tigard elected officials and the city recorder. Council President Lube.
Can we change the youth definition to be maybe somebody in high school? That way, because if somebody was currently 18 but a senior, by that definition, they wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I was just trying to think about how to define it well, but that's fine. Councilor Goodhouse?
Do we want to, what if someone wants to apply representing an organization? Do we want to disallow or consider that or not? I just don't know if someone...
Would they be a Tigard community member, or would they be in the interested organization? Like, which group would they qualify?
Probably the interested. I mean, if someone wanted to be, represent the chamber or a church or an organization, do we want to allow that or not allow that?
And they don't live in the community?
Yeah, do we
Yeah,
want to
then
allow or not?
then they'd be one of the 2 that could apply. I mean, that's how I would think about it. Councilor Shaw and then Councilor Nog.
Thank you, Mayor. I think your numbers come out to 14, so if we did want to keep it
That's still too big.
odd, or we could do 7 community members, or if you want 6 and then have an alternate.
Yeah, I mean, City Attorney Rahala, let's talk about this. What are you thinking? I mean, I know the Public Safety Advisory Board got a little out of hand, so, I mean, just numbers-wise, it was a lot of people. So what do you recommend there?
Yeah, it was a lot of people, and I think especially for this topic where we're doing more wordsmithing than coming up with policy recommendations like the Public Safety Board, I do think there's a larger benefit to having a smaller group. I would like to see probably 12-ish members total. So the 6.
So that probably becomes 5 adult community members, 1 youth community member, 2 general members of the sort of Tigard interested parties, shall we call it, and then 3 elected officials and the city recorder. Is that the number?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilor Newton.
Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Could we just allow interested community members to apply and say we're not going to have more than 2 in the total mix? I've been with the city where we've tried to open it to certain interest groups and we haven't had seats.
Yeah, we actually had that with the Public Safety Advisory Board, so maybe we should learn from that.
So if we say there's a community member number and we'll take up to 2 that may not,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
If we include that and they don't, then we can keep the
Up
numbers.
to 2 individuals that aren't necessarily Tigard residents may be appointed.
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
Councilor Goodhouse, can you live with that?
Yeah, do we want to reduce if we're narrowing everything else down, do we want to reduce the elected if that's going to be a higher percentage now? Before it was 3 and we had 8 to 10.
Well, we already cut it down there was originally going to be 2 separate groups. I personally wouldn't recommend lowering that more, but we can consider it.
Mr.
I
Mayor,
wouldn't personally do that.
I
Councilor
think we
Newton?
can keep it at the same number or close to the same number if we have 5 or 6 community members, the youth member, the 3 counselors, and the city recorder.
Agree.
And we don't have the extra.
What's
2.
that number come out to be? Did you do the
Well,
math?
if this is 12, reducing it by 1's 11.
Okay.
If I can do math. Nobody said there'd be math.
I can't do math and facilitate a meeting and all the other things. Okay, so that gets us at 11. How do people feel about that? Do you want to restate it?
Could you restate that, please?
7 community members with diverse backgrounds, up to 2 of those people can be
residents.
Non-residents. I'm sorry, it was going to be 6. 1 youth member, that adds up to 7. The 3 electeds and the city recorder. Okay?
Thank you, Councilor Newton.
Okay. So we've got a specific proposal there. Council President Lube.
That's great for voting members. 1 or 2 alternates?
Probably 2.
2? Okay.
And I would remind folks, if we look under the roles and responsibilities, we're looking at developing the recommendations by consensus, which is a little easier to do when you have even numbers than taking a vote, so.
Okay. City Attorney Rahala, do you feel like that was a lot of back and forth, but do you have the gist of it? It looks like the city manager's got it written down too. Okay. Do you feel like you need input on other parts of it? I mean, I think the roles and responsibilities, et cetera, seem appropriate to me. Do others have, I didn't hear any other comments on that. Okay. So it looks like that's all right on, and we just need to make the tweak to the composition. You have any other questions?
Okay, yeah. So we'll make the other, the 2 tweaks that Councilor Newton suggested to the application, and then come up with a streamlined version for elected officials. Is that their approval of that plan?
I think so. Youth Councilor Nog's got a question or comment?
I have a quick comment. So is the piece of paper that says Charter Review Committee draft application the application that we were planning on sending out?
Yes, and that's the one that Council President Lube and others were providing feedback on, yes.
Okay.
Do you have some suggestions on it?
Yeah. Is there a way to provide like a brief job description about what members would be doing or what the charter even is? I know that for the youth representative, like they might not know what a charter is, and it might be important to provide that back.
So City Attorney Rahala, the request, I think you probably heard it from Youth Councilor Nog, but it would be to provide better context information, probably compare the charter to the U.S. Constitution as a founding document for the city, giving some context, and then indicating what the individuals participating would be expected to do as community members as part of the process. Does that sum it up, Youth Councilor Nog? Okay. City Attorney Rahala, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I frankly think the adults could use that too, not just the youth member. Okay.
Absolutely, and we do all of that on the website. That will the application will be a link from the website that will have all of that information on it.
Okay. All right, and then is there going to be some specific communication to past elected officials then that may not know, or that like whoever the living people that would be eligible to participate as the current or past elected officials should maybe be contacted as best we can? Councilor Goodhouse, you have a comment on that?
And are those ones that their elected area was tigered? Is that what we're considering it? I mean,
yeah, these are I mean, we didn't say it here, but these are past or current elected officials of the city of Tigard.
Oh, of the city of Tigard. So I didn't know if maybe it would be like a representative or a Congress, or if we want to stick with solely city of Tigard.
I mean, I don't think we've discussed. It actually says past or present Tigard elected officials.
Okay.
The intent is people that have had a deep working with our charter and what it's meant in the day-to-day workings of the city here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the perspective they're going to be able to offer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, City Attorney Rahala, you have what you need, and you do not need a vote, correct?
Nope, it sounds like there's consensus, so we can go forward with that.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Deputy Recorder Raimundo, excellent job, both of you. Thank you. And we'll move on to item number 6, non-agenda items, of which we have none. Item 7, administrative report. City Manager Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, councilors, members of the community, and my teammates. Just a few things to report tonight. First is our team held a Murdoch Street open house last week, and this is for the sidewalk and stormwater project that we have going on there. These will be to fill a large sidewalk gap between 103rd Avenue and Templeton Elementary. This has been an area that obviously has been discussed for some time, so we're excited to get this project going, and the goal is ultimately to provide a safer route to school for pedestrian, cyclists, and just mobility in general. There still will be the potential for some of the car queuing issues that you have, but hopefully providing better pedestrian access will take a few more cars off the road during that period as well. So we recognize it doesn't solve everything around the school during those peak times, but the pedestrian safety and mobility is obviously a key part of our vision. And so thanks to the team for holding that and for bringing the project forward. A couple other things. I was shocked when I saw this number. So we're having our library card sign-up month. Currently, we have 41,459 registered Tigard library card holders, which was like, whoa, that's a big number. So this fiscal year alone, we've already signed up 539 community members, so we're just going to continue that, and with the goal of everyone having one. So we are well on our way, obviously, with that first number I read. And kudos to the library team for continuing to try to engage our entire community. With that, thank you for proclaiming Hispanic Heritage Month. We're going to begin some of our celebration at the library, as you might suspect. And so we'll have a variety of things from different selections of books to history-focused story walk on Fano Creek Trail that will begin in October. And also we'll support the upcoming festival that we have in the works. And then the library is also bringing back their coffee and conversation program that halted during the pandemic. And so that's going to start this Monday, September 19th at 9 a.m. And it's just a chance for people to get to know each other as well as get to know some of our library team. And just a couple other things I just learned from our youth counselor, that the Youth Advisory Council is going to have a Get Out the Vote event this Saturday at the library from 3 to 5. They'll be assisting people with voter registration. You'd also mentioned you're going to have a mock election, or?
Yeah, it's between, I think we're trying to find like a mascot between two tigers.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna have a mock election as well. So encourage people to go to the library once again this Friday or this Saturday from 3 to 5. And then last but not least, our next Police Department Community Academy starts this week on September 14th. And so for those of you that are registered, I hope everyone enjoys their time there.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to just say that I'm thrilled about the project on Murdoch. That has been needed for so many years, and I'm just thrilled to see that it's finally coming together. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your support. And that concludes my remarks this evening, Mayor.
All right, thank you, City Manager Reimer. At this time, the Tigard City Council will enter into two separate executive sessions. First executive session is to discuss real property negotiations under ORS 192.660 subsection 2E. The second executive session is to discuss the performance-related review of a public officer or employee under ORS 192.660 subsection 2I. All discussions are confidential, and those present may disclose nothing from the session. No executive session may be held for the purpose of taking any final action or making any final decision. The City Council will adjourn after the executive sessions. Good night, Tigard.